How would you like to scale your company and exit at the highest possible multiple without working yourself to death? You see these companies every day on CNBC, in the Wall Street Journal, ringing the bell, achieving their initial public offering, or selling their company to another business at what seems like a record high multiple for their category. So, what's the key to achieving that kind of exit? Look, there are so many aspects to your business, these and many more, that you have to get right. But none of these is more important than what Steve Jobs said years ago. The secret of my success is that we've gone to exceptional lengths to hire the best people in the world. And his comments were echoed years later by Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, who said acquiring the right talent is the most important key to growth. Hiring is still the most important thing we do. Notice, he said, the most important thing. If you look at companies that have achieved real breakthrough and exit in category after category, including yours, they have one thing in common. They've put people and talent first. Yes, of course, scaling your company means you need a solid business concept. You need to achieve product market fit. But that's not enough. You also need consistent execution quarter after quarter. Yet most business leaders struggle with this. Their companies don't have the brand awareness to attract the best possible candidates. They don't have a team of internal recruiters to go out and find those candidates. So they rely on job board postings, which bring B players. And they can't afford expensive headhunters to go out and find the talent. So these seats sit open week after week, month after month, and your jobs don't get done. Meanwhile, your competitors are speeding past you, which results in you taking your numbers down one more time, missing the number by 10%, 20%. And let's be honest, that results in some pretty uncomfortable board meetings with your investors. So what's the key? What is the key to the exit? Well, I'll tell you. Only leaders who consistently put a rock star in every seat beat the odds. I'm Jeff Hyman, and I'm the CEO of Recruit Rockstars. And the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you a few things. The two things that all successful growth companies have in common. The three key metrics that you can't afford not to know. And a simple, proven three-step system to ensure that you hire a rock star every single time. Now, I know a thing or two about hiring because I've been doing it for 25 years. I've hired over 3,000 people. And more importantly, I've sat in your seat. I was a VC-backed CEO twice with 2 exits, and then served as an operating partner at a leading private equity firm. Last year, I wrote the book, Recruit Rockstars, the 10-step playbook to find the winners and ignite your business, and it went on to become a bestseller. And based on the success of that book, I was invited to join the faculty at the Kellogg School of Management in Chicago, and I now teach the nation's only MBA course on hiring talent. So if you're a growth company leader looking to scale your business rapidly and profitably, then you are definitely in the right place. Because the companies that I work with are venture capital funded leaders or private equity backed executives who have achieved product market fit and are committed to hiring only the best. I'll give you a couple of examples. Sean Boom is the CEO of Vanco Payments, which is a portfolio company of Great Hill Partners. Now, Vanco is the leading payment processor for churches. He was a newly appointed CEO, and Sean quickly identified that he needed to upgrade his head of marketing to create lead generation. He then needed a new head of sales to drive conversions of those leads, and thanks to that, Sean and his team are crushing it. So is Glenn Trout, who's the CEO of Velocity EHS. Now, Velocity is a portfolio company of CVC Growth Fund, and it's a leading SaaS platform for employee health and safety. Glenn had just brought in a new lead investor, which of course comes with increased revenue expectations. He needed a new VP of sales to scale the sales team. And again, they are crushing it. So's Kevin Lee, the CEO of Kobaton. Now, this is a portfolio company of BIP Capital, and it's a leading platform for mobile app testing. Kevin had just closed the first round of capital for the company and needed a new head of marketing. They are crushing it. What do they have in common? Well, they went out and they targeted candidates who aren't even looking for a job. And you can fill any role in 2 weeks instead of 2 months or 2 quarters. And this process works with any size budget. The results are guaranteed. Now, I've observed there are 2 types of investor-backed leaders. The first struggle. They struggle to scale, to make their numbers, and somehow they crawl across the finish line to a fire sale. The other type achieves a successful exit at a very high multiple. So why do some growth companies enjoy the great exit while others have a fire sale? Well, I can tell you that the winners have 2 things in common. They recruit a team of the highest caliber employees. Again, Steve Jobs probably said it best. He said the top 5% of employees are 50 to 100 times more productive than the average employee. They are game changers. The second thing these winners have in common is they create a powerful and differentiated culture to retain those employees that they've attracted. So they don't have what you're probably familiar with, a revolving door. Hiring and firing and hiring and firing. That results in an absolute paralysis of the business. It's impossible to get anything done. So these are the 2 things that the winners have in common. They recruit the team and they retain the team. And that lets you focus on your job, designing the strategy, scaling the business, and leading to a successful exit. Now, I'll be honest, you're doing this in the face of a big challenge, and that is that the U.S. unemployment rate has never been lower. In 50 years, we're below 4%. And so that's the bad news. Most Americans are working. In fact, 96% or more are currently employed. But there's some good news. The good news is that most of them are also unhappy. They're disengaged in their role, and they're open to having a conversation with you. But to do that, you need to do 3 things. You need to target the right candidates, you need to approach them in the right way, and you need to give them just one good reason to have a confidential conversation with you. So does it take you too long to fill your open positions with rockstar employees? If so, let me ask you 2 questions. The first is, what do you rely on today to find the best candidates? Well, if you're like most growth company leaders, you're using job boards. There are thousands of them out there. And while they're very inexpensive, you're going to attract active job seekers who are spending their time looking for a job. And so, sure, you'll fill your email box with a stack of resumes, but let's be honest, how often is the winner somewhere buried in that stack? So then what do you do next when the job board fails to find the right person? Again, if you're like most business leaders, you shell out a stack of cash to a headhunter to go out and find it for you. Job boards and headhunters. Well, look, the most successful growth companies know how to do this. They don't rely on job boards or headhunters. And there are 3 key metrics that you have to track along the way. The first is the number of days that it takes to fill an open role. Winning companies do it in days, not weeks, not months. They also track the dollar cost per hire. Now, this is a subtle point because it's not just how much you spend to fill the role. Sure, job board costs a few $100s, but what is the hidden cost, the opportunity cost to your business when that position sits open for weeks or months? Let's say it's a sales rep. That cost is staggering. And finally, a quality metric. What is the percentage of hires at the 12-month mark who have proven themselves to be rock stars? For most companies, it's close to 50%, pretty low. So what does a system look like that would address all this? Well, it targets the ideal candidates. Develop the right messaging to entice them to have a conversation. And then you got to track down their contact info, their email address, their mobile phone number, and approach them multiple times to get them to talk. But if you could do that, the result would be a pipeline, a limitless pipeline of qualified and interested candidates for every role in your business. I guarantee it. And you'd never have to pay a headhunter fee again. Now, to do this, you got to define clearly the criteria. What is it that you're looking for in the perfect candidate? You'll need a strong employee value proposition. Other than just money, why should someone who's currently working consider switching to your company? And you need to master the 20-minute phone screen, which helps you determine which candidates you choose to invest a bunch of your time with. But when you do it, the results are amazing. Another client of mine, Mike Pitlinsky, is the CEO of Mooncheese, which is the fastest growing CPG company that I've ever seen. And he says that the hardest part is choosing from all the remarkable candidates that come from this system. Nick Miller is the CEO of Vista Equity Partners portfolio company called Gather. He says every company needs a rockstar team, and we used it to find our VP of sales and our CFO fast. It's more than a headhunter, it's a secret weapon. Alex Stepien is the CEO of CapEx, based in Chicago. It's one of the top websites in the education space, and he says it saved us $84,000 in headhunter fees on just one search. This changes everything about the way that companies hire. Again, the most successful growth companies know how to do this, how to recruit rock stars. And so you have a choice. You can invest the time, learn how to do it, and then do it on your own. Absolutely possible. I teach people how to do this, but it takes time. Or you can work with someone who already knows how to do it and will actually do it for you. So let's come back to that very first question. How would you like to scale your company and exit at the highest possible multiple, all without working yourself to death? If so, then I'd like to introduce you to Shortlist. Shortlist is perfect for leaders who want to fill every role in their business quickly with a rock star, who want to stop relying on job boards that don't work, and who are ready to reduce their spending on headhunters. And if so, you're in luck, because I'm looking for a few more dream clients. Now, Shortlist is not for everyone. It works best for VC and PE-backed companies who want to fill full-time roles in the U.S. between $50,000 and $250,000 in compensation, and for leaders who are committed to hiring the best. And if that's you, let me show you how the process works. It's quite simple. We start with a 15-minute phone call to define the perfect candidate. The next day, we will deliver to you 5 benchmark candidates for your approval, just to make sure that we're on track. Once you say yes, we go out and we find the top 200 matches, the closest 200 candidates. We track down their contact info, and we approach them 4 times via email and via text messaging, so that in a few days we can deliver to you your shortlist of qualified interested candidates, and you can begin your phone interviews. It's a very streamlined process. But it's not for everyone. This is not designed for companies that have not achieved product market fit, or who don't know what they're looking for, who haven't defined the criteria. It's also not right if you want someone else to do the interviewing for you. In that case, you do need a headhunter. But if you're willing to interview the candidate yourself, and speed matters, then you're now able to skip right to the shortlist of qualified, interested candidates. It's also right for businesses that have a strong score on Glassdoor. That's the very first website that employees go to see about your company. So if you're ready to end your board meetings with this, with investors that are thrilled with your performance, that you're crushing it consistently, then Shortlist can help you do it by helping you put a rock star in every seat in your business. Now, by this point, you're probably curious how much Shortlist costs. And it's very simple. Let's compare it to a headhunter. As you probably know, headhunters charge 20% to 33% of a candidate's compensation. So as an example, if you needed to hire a marketing manager who made about $120,000 a year, you'd pay a one-time fee of $30,000. If you needed a director of sales at $160,000 comp, the fee would be $40,000. And if you wanted to hire a CFO, your fee could be $50,000 or more just to the headhunter. By comparison, Shortlist costs $3,000. That's right. You receive 10 qualified and interested candidates in 10 days for $3,000, a fraction of what you pay a traditional headhunter. And the best part is that it's completely risk-free. If you're not convinced that Shortlist is the best recruiting service that you've ever used, then you receive your money back. So if you're ready to begin out executing your competitors, and if you're ready to scale your business and achieve your goals, if you're ready to get to the exit over time at a record high multiple, then Shortlist can help you in a big way. Now, to get started, you're going to set up a 15-minute call with me, and we're going to define your perfect candidate. We're going to nail those criteria. From there, we're off to the races. So if you're ready to get started, just go below right now and click that blue button to schedule a time, and then we'll get started. And I look forward to working with you.